You're tuned in to the Foxborough Beatcast, a podcast for Patriots fans by Patriots fans. And here are your hosts, is Kaleb McKinstry and Ryan Moore.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to not the Foxborough Beatcast. This is a little something we like to call Blueline Beat. I don't know how often this is going to be or how, how frequent we'll do things like this, but we are here to talk some sticky puck for sure. Beside me are my co-hosts for the evening. Obviously, no Ryan, as the graphic foreshowed, but I think that we do have some quality co-hosts on the side here. Below me at the bottom there is Tristin McKinstry of Clutch Points. He was here when we did our season preview back in October. Yep. Okay. And beside me on my, I guess, would be left, is BR. BR was here just before Christmas last year talking about the Patriots and Broncos. I will not go any further.
Boy, things have changed for the Denver Broncos since that podcast. So that's all I'll say.
But we're not talking football today. We are talking hockey. But again, this is a new program. This is a new show. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves a little bit and get to talking about what you're all about. Tristan, I'll start with you again. Introduce yourself to the fine folks at home.
Yeah, so my name's Tristin. Obviously, I'm an associate editor with a focus on the NHL at Clutch Points. I cover a lot of like post game stuff, quotes, injury news. We've started getting into the thing that I really have fun with is the NHL draft. I released my first mock draft recently. I've done a lot of the other stuff with the draft recently as well. So that's kind of what I'm all about.
BR?
Howdy, I'm Braden. They call me BR. Yeah, on kind of the same thing I said the last time, which if you have any memory of what I said a year ago, congratulations, your memory's better than mine.
Me too.
Anyways, I from Denver, like the Broncos, I'm an Avs fan, and I'm not as credentialed as the other two lads here, but still very much in an Avs and hockey fan, and I don't know. They asked me to come on, and I said yes. That's about it.
And that is all we needed. BR, you sell yourself short. You have forgotten more hockey than I will ever know. So.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
No, Tristan will advocate for that. See, look at that face. That face is not a denial. All right, let's get right into it here. We have some, can we call it breaking news? Did this happen today?
This happened, this happened earlier, about an hour or so ago, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay, so this is breaking news, everybody. The Blackhawks have fired their head coach, Luke Richardson. Anders Sorensen has been named the interim coach. The Blackhawks enter play on Thursday with a 8-16-2 record. Woof. Obviously, the Blackhawks have been kind of in a little bit of turmoil the last couple of years, desperate for some positive PR, and they didn't get it today. Unless you wanted the coach fired, then absolutely this is considered positive PR. But been a rough couple of years for the Blackhawks for sure. Kind of in the basement after kind of phasing out of that dynasty era of the mid 2010s ish. Again, this is very loose, very liberal wording here because I can't remember. I know they beat us in 2015.
I mean, they won 3 in like 5 years. They won 3.
No, certainly a dynasty for sure. And obviously, some things have happened with them over the course of the last couple of years that we don't need to get into all the details about it. But they have their first overall pick from a couple of years ago, or a year ago, or this year. I forget. Connor Bedard. BR, I'm going to kick it off to you. What are your initial reactions and thoughts to Mr. Luke Richardson getting shown the door?
I mean, that had to happen. I mean, they have been an abomination this season. Like, I know that they were still going to be bad, but goodness, getting worse than last year with his second year at Bedard. Yeah, it just the team has looked disengaged. They have been awful, and they needed to change something. Maybe not to like save the season, because I don't think anyone thought they were contending for a playoff position anyways. But at least to put a respectable product on the ice, they had to make this move. I think. I mean, he got put into this place. I think, was he put into this because of the beach story, or was it unrelated?
No, I don't think that Luke Richardson was hired because of that. I think that it happened around that time, I think, but I don't think it was.
No, I'm thinking of the G. I was thinking of the G. I'm thinking of the GM. Apologies.
Oh, the GM. Yeah, no. Kyle Davidson succeeded Stan Bowman as the GM of the Blackhawks after that whole thing came out.
That dude better be worried next, because he might not be too far behind.
Tristin, what are some of your initial reactions to Luke Richardson getting shown the door?
Well, I haven't really looked at the Blackhawks as a team that I thought might fire their coach, but as having somewhat of some knowledge of all 32 teams, given the nature of my position, I have kind of clued in on the Blackhawks as a team that I thought there was some issues with their coaching staff. I think this kind of goes back to, I think it was the early November, when the Blackhawks were playing in Vancouver. It was a big thing because Connor Bedard was playing in the NHL in his hometown for the first time. He's a Vancouver native. And during that game, or before that game, they announced that Taylor Hall was going to be a healthy scratch. And this was kind of a surprise because they wanted Taylor Hall back. He was limited to like 17 games last year or something like that. If he played less than 20 games last year with a torn ACL, they were thinking that bringing him in, you get Teuvo Teravainen back in free agency, Tyler Bertuzzi, he comes in free agency. You put these veteran wingers around Bedard, you unlock Bedard in the second season. It really hasn't worked out that way. I'll get to that in a minute. But the point with the Taylor Hall thing was that Richardson went out there because Taylor Hall publicly said that his benching surprised him. He had no knowledge of it. And Luke Richardson actually said, like, on record, was like, yeah, maybe I should have communicated with him before I made that move. And
it's kind of your job, dude.
Yeah, so it's like there was always kind of a thing where I was looking like, okay, maybe Luke Richardson's not the guy here to lead the Blackhawks out of this. But even more over to that, I want to pose a question to you guys, and it's a kind of a simple question. Can you guess how many 20-point scorers the Blackhawks have on their roster right now?
I know the answer because I looked this up, so I got to abstain.
Blackhawks roster. Can you give me some of the players that are on that roster that I might know?
You've got Bedard, you've got Tyler Bertuzzi, like I said, Taylor Hall, Ryan Donato. I don't know if you know him. Nick Foligno, Nick Foligno. Yeah. So you got some of those guys.
I'll say 3.
You say 3?
3.
The answer is not 3. The answer is 0.
Oh.
They don't have a single 20-point scorer on their roster right now. Bedard's the closest with 19. And this is just showing that this is a team that should be taking steps forward. Bedard himself has struggled, which is something that we don't really talk about too much. And that's somewhat fair because 19 and 24 is still it's not a bad start to the season by any means. There are a lot of players out there who would love to have 19 points in 24 games right now, but Bedard has really kind of not played that well this year. He's kind of struggled. It happens to second-year players, but it's really kind of a sign that the whole team is taking a step back. And although the Blackhawks were supposed to be bad, it's still a rebuild, all that type of stuff. They're not ready to compete for cups. I don't think anybody expected that. But at the end of the day, you're looking to be more competitive, and the Blackhawks just haven't been that competitive this season. So I think this is kind of the right move. Anders Sorensen's worked with a lot of the players in. He was the head coach of the Rockford Ice Hogs in the AHL. The assistant GM of player development, Mark Eaton's taking over behind the bench at Rockford. It's like a corresponding thing. So he's worked with guys like Alex Vlasic, Nolan Allen, Wyatt Kaiser on the back end, a lot of those defensemen. So he has kind of a history with some of these players. I also, fun fact, this kind of surprised me. Anders Sorensen is the first Swedish head coach in NHL history, which I thought which is kind of interesting, given how much there's like a tie with Sweden in the NHL, with a lot of the best players in league history are Swedish. So yeah, I think ultimately this is a move they needed to make. It'll be really interesting to see who they go and get to kind of, because you have to imagine the coach that they hire after this is the guy they expect to lead them to the next dynasty or glory years.
Is there any world where Anders Sorensen turns out to be the full-time guy by the end of this, or do you think that they're just kind of kicking a can?
From what I've been seeing from some of the national insiders, like Pierre LeBrun and all that, the plan is to give Sorensen this season, and they do think really highly of him. So there is always a chance. I believe they have like a history of like promoting the Rockford coach and giving him a chance, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if Richardson came from the Montreal Canadiens, I believe. But I believe the guy before him, Jeremy Colleton, I think he came from Rockford. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But overall, they think highly of Sorensen. If he does well, they could easily take the interim tag off him.
What's the ceiling for the Blackhawks going forward
this season?
Yeah. What do you want if you're a Blackhawks fan? First of all, I don't really feel bad for you, but what are you hoping for when you get to June and you miss the playoffs? I'm like, okay, it wasn't great, but this happened. What would be that one thing?
I think it would be a top 5 pick, just ending up in the top 5. Really, because, and I don't say that to be like, I don't say that to be like, I don't know what the word would be. I don't mean to say that to be like root for losing or anything, but like the top 5 players in this draft, I wrote about that. They're all really special players. Any one of them could go number 1 overall. But also it's just like, outside of like the obvious in terms of like seeing Bedard turn things around and start scoring more goals and seeing those veterans kind of come together, end up in the top 5. That's really kind of what you're looking for at this point.
Got anything to add, BR?
Well, honestly, I feel like if what you would want, if I'm a Blackhawks fan personally, would be like kind of like what Detroit did, where they went on a crazy run at the end of last year, barely missed the playoffs, still get a top 10 or whatever draft pick, but like you show some strides as the whole team, Bedard, and the new coach goes in and turns the team around, and you're like, okay, we got a coach, we got a player, we got our franchise player, let's try and build around him better than what we have done.
Yeah, no, for sure. Any other thoughts on these Chicago Blackhawks in the depths of hell before we move on?
Well, as an organization.
Yeah, the organization's handling of stuff in recent years has been less than ideal, to say the least. But I mean, at the end of the day, irregardless of all that, that's a whole separate discussion that goes beyond the scope of hockey. This was kind of a move I feel like they needed to make, and it's kind of, I'll be intrigued to see where they go from here.
Alrighty. That being said, I don't think any of us are going to be watching a whole ton of Blackhawks games unless they're playing the Bruins, the Avalanche, or the Red Wings.
Well, the Avs will be playing Chicago a good bit because same division.
Right.
Hey, got the Winter Classic coming up at the end of the month.
We will not be watching.
I watch those outdoor games all the time, man. I know I know this is completely off topic, but a lot of like fans have like, oh, the pageantry, the outdoor game is gone. I don't think so. I still like those outdoor games personally. I recognize that's probably just me, but
yeah, no, I don't think. I think what's making the luster go down isn't the outdoor game itself. It's that they use a lot of the same teams.
that's fair. Yeah, that's
Yeah, so I feel like we granted it'd be we should see teams that we don't really see. Like sure we see Detroit in outdoor games, but like versus Columbus at the Horseshoe, which maybe an Ohio team will finally beat Michigan in the Ohio Stadium. Don't let Ryan Day in the building and they'll have a shot. Anyways,
New Hampshire's finest, Ryan Day.
Yeah, no, but I feel like I want to see different teams, like Seattle versus Vancouver. That's just that. Like we always see Chicago. We always see a lot of St. Louis. We see a lot of Detroit, but they're playing Columbus, and that one is pretty obvious. So I'll let that one go.
Yeah,
honestly,
I mean,
we've seen quite a few of the Avs. Like I'm kind of like I don't need the Avs have had like 3 outdoor games, 2 of them in the last like 4 or 5 years. So like I think the problem isn't the outdoor games as much as they need new teams in these games.
No, I agree with that. To be fair with Detroit, I think this is their first outdoor game since like 2017, if I'm not mistaken. I think the last time they played was the Centennial Classic against the Maple Leafs at the
Fair enough.
It was it was Colorado actually. We played you guys. I don't remember where it was. I remember because the Red Wings jerseys that year were disgustingly bad. I completely understand the point of like I think last year's Winter Classic was the Kraken and the Golden Knights. So like doing something like that would be if we did. I honestly think the way you could do it is like if you want to continue going to those teams, like give like the historic franchise like the original 6s or whatever, like have like an original 6 outdoor showdown or something between like you rotate the original 6 teams every year, and then you can go to like new teams, like I don't know, do like the Panthers and the Rangers or something. I don't know. Well, the Rangers wouldn't. We're the Panthers, Islanders, or something like that. The teams that don't really go outdoors all that often. I don't know.
I mean, again, Utah. I want to like at Utah's. I like I forget Rice Cycles where the University of Utah football plays their games and such. Like just to see new venues, like imagine. I know I just said that I'm a bit done with the Avs having outdoor games, but imagine a game at Folsom Field and the views in a hockey game at Folsom Field at night.
Yeah,
like it's like they're using a lot of the same teams and they're going to a lot of the same stadiums, like Wrigley Field, like cool. Like do one at the White Sox Stadium.
Oh yeah. I'm with you on that, 100%.
So yeah, I am kind of a bit bored of the outdoor games, but it's more because of a lot of it is the same teams and not necessarily because I'm done with the outdoor element.
Yeah, I feel you.
Alrighty, up next we have the Boston Bruins. This has been brewing for a while. The Boston Bruins fired Jim Montgomery back on November 18th, almost a month. Obviously, Montgomery wasn't having the greatest of seasons coming into it. He had to deal with the Jeremy Swayman thing. He had a lot of weird comments going back and forth to captains and there's a lot of weird vibes going on in TD Garden, to say the least. They went 8-9-1, obviously not good enough, and capping it off with a 5-1 loss to the Blue Jackets, where just 4 days prior they lost to the Stars 7-2. I was there. Yeah, it just wasn't good enough. Jim Montgomery gets canned. Then the St. Louis Blues hire him 6 days later to a 5-year contract, 6-year contract.
It was a 5-year contract for
A
Montgomery.
5-year contract. So obviously there are very polarizing opinions on Jim Montgomery if he's able to get fired and then get into a 6-year contract. Obviously the third bullet point here is Monty at fault? And obviously I wanted to note that the Bruins are 6-2 since canning him and putting in Joe Sacco. We are wacko for Sacco up in Boston right now. But yeah, where was I going to go with that before I asked the big old question? I don't know. I forget. All right. So here's the big question. Is Jim Montgomery to blame for that slow start? Is it something bigger? Should he been fired at all? We can discuss it. Who did I start with last time, Tristan?
He started with BR.
Okay, BR, I'm going right to you.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's mostly the management. They gave him a very difficult hand because it's an older roster. No, you know, you had the whole circus with Swayman and the goaltender, which was completely unnecessary. I will never understand trading Ullmark before signing Swayman. I understand trading Ullmark after you sign Swayman, but like trading him, just you have no leverage now. That you when you trade Ullmark, you made it very clear that this is your guy, and doing it when he's not signed just opens you to cost you a lot more money than I don't want to say was necessary, because I'm sure he would have been paid near that much regardless, but like but so like the roster is not that impressive. It's, the goaltender circus, but at the same time the team have very obviously quit on him. So whether it's his fault or not, when a team quits on a coach, you got to make a move. So
we said as much when we were discussing it when the rumors were flying and the discussions were happening. We both came to agreement that the team had quit and it's time to go.
Yeah, and I think he's a very good coach. The majority of the problems I don't think are his fault. But when a team quits on a coach, there's no going back. It doesn't matter how you got to there. When the team quits on a coach, you got to make a move, and that's what they did. And we'll see how long this ride lasts. I mean, I don't think too highly of Joe Sacco based off his. I mean, he hasn't had a head coaching job in a decade. Hopefully, he's used that time to figure out what went wrong with his time with the Avs. But yeah, I mean, Montgomery's a very good coach. I'm not shocked in the slightest. Maybe I was a bit shocked that St. Louis was the team, but I was not shocked that somebody fired their coach for him pretty quickly. So it had to happen. It had to happen, but the majority of the blame is on Don Sweeney. I don't know if it'll happen because it's a real boys club over there, but you need a refresh in the front office, I think.
Yeah, we're probably overdue for it. All right, Tristan, let me have it.
Yeah, see, I think Kaleb started with BR because he already knows what I'm going to say. And that's because I think that straight up this is entirely on management. It's entirely on Don Sweeney. It's entirely on Cam Neely. There were issues in the locker room, sure, and but I think that the onus is on management to smooth that over personally, because management created those problems. It wasn't Jim Montgomery's tactics that created the issues. It wasn't Jim Montgomery who did what he did with Jeremy Swayman and negotiated those contracts and went out there and said that he had, what was it, 64 million reasons to show up to training camp or something like that.
That was ridiculous.
You can't. And then not only does he publicly say that, but then a week later they give him more money than they floated in the press conference. So yeah, it's on management. And look, the Bruins are playing well under Joe Sacco. I'm not discrediting
wacko for Sacco.
But what I am saying is I feel like that the coaching change isn't solving anything. All it's doing is kicking the can down the road because the roster is still not like constructed well. They're getting through on good coaching and good talent, but it's still not a well constructed roster because your top two centers are Charlie Coyle I forgot. You signed Elias Lindholm. So your top two centers are Elias Lindholm,
who's finally playing well, by the way.
Charlie Coyle. I mean, it's just, and look, I think Elias Lindholm was a great player. Don't get me wrong, but like, Elias Lindholm hasn't played as like an elite number one center since he had Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk on his wings. So, I think that all you're doing at this point is, maybe the Bruins go on a great run. They make the playoffs this year. Maybe they make the playoffs next year. But then you're going to eventually run into the same problem where the team stumbles out of the gate because Marchand's 37 and Pasternak's starting to get up there. He's kind of entering the back half of, well, not really the back half, but he's starting to hit those prime years. And then you've got like a bunch of other players who are starting to get into the back end. And you're not really doing anything to prepare the team for the future, and you're not really doing a lot to address the issues already on hand because we've known the Bruins needed better center depth since Krejci and Bergeron hung it up, and
we've been needing better center depth since before that.
The only like legitimate quality move that this team has made to address that is sign Elias Lindholm this past summer to a 7-year contract. So, I mean, I don't know. To me, this is entirely a management thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, it seems like it's working out for both sides because Jim Montgomery's 3-1 in his start with the Blues. He's in an organization that values him, sees him as a game changer. That was literally the Blues' stated reason for firing Drew Bannister. And the Bruins are getting good results under Joe Sacco. So at the end of the day, it's really hard to fault them for making the move in hindsight. But I don't think the issues with the Bruins are going to go away. I think we're just going to revisit this in a year and a half.
Probably, yeah, I agree. I mean, also, I understand why the Blues did it, but man, Drew Bannister got screwed over.
Yeah.
They weren't really that bad. It wasn't like they were going to fire. They were debating firing him anyways, and then he became available, and they're like, well, might as well.
Yeah.
Drew Bannister, I think, will get another job. Maybe Chicago.
I think Drew Bannister showed he can coach in this league. He nearly drugged them loose to the playoffs last year. They were on a really good run. They were fighting with the Golden Knights up until the very end there, pretty much, maybe like a week out from the season. I think he'll be fine. He just kind of got unlucky with, a bit of a slow start plus injuries to Robert Thomas and Philip Broberg after Broberg was just on a heater to begin the year. So that's a tough deal for Drew Bannister. He should be fine though.
All right, if you're a viewer of this show, it's more than likely you come right from Foxborough Beat, which is a Patriots show. The Patriots are located in New England. There's a pretty good likelihood that you're a Bruins fan. So, who better than to give analysis on this than the Bruins fan himself? First things first, BR said everything perfectly. The team had quit on him. Regardless whether the roster was Neely and Sweeney's fault or not, the team wasn't responding to him anymore. They had quit. Jim Montgomery's pushing around Brad Marchand, and Marchand's looking at him like, yeah, I don't have to listen to you. You're done. I don't care. When that happens, I don't care who's at fault. Coach has got to go. That, or you expect the Bruins to do something that they've never done, which if you're expecting them to do anything but fire the coach, I'd like to sell you some oceanside property in Nebraska, because that's just not the way hockey's done over here. We kick the can, we don't rebuild, and somehow, some way, everything turns up Bruins in the end anyway. Important to remind everybody that everybody thought that we would suck last year, and we made the playoffs, won a playoff series. We've been expecting the cliff to fall. I've been expecting the cliff to fall for like 3 years now. And they still make the playoffs, and they're competitive in a playoff series, or they choke a lead. But they're competitive, and they make the playoffs. I thought going into the season with Jim Montgomery, I was not expecting him to get fired. I was not expecting Jeremy Swayman to suck ass for 2 months after signing his big deal. Is he playing like a top 5 goalie, like he's being paid like a top 5 goalie? Not right now. He's not. Korpisalo has been the better goalie. I don't know how much has changed in the last 8 games to sway that stat. I'm sure Tristan's looking it up right now.
You know me well.
I saw you like getting ready to type. I'm like, yeah, that's where he's going. Because I'm curious. I don't get to watch a ton of games. I work a lot. I mostly scoreboard watch, and I listen to a lot of sports radio. And as of last week or 2 weeks ago, Corpusalo's been head and shoulders the better goalie. They don't puke on themselves as often when he's behind the net outside of that first game in Florida where we just got waxed. They have our number over there. But yeah, so Jim Montgomery had to go. We're winning hockey games. Who knows how long that'll last? You can cast your doom all over it as much as you want. I think that this team should make the playoffs still. They seem like a playoff team. They play like a playoff team. They just need to get there. And it seems that with Montgomery gone and they're responding to Sacco, their heads are pretty much out of their ass, which is hard to, a Bruins team is always going to have their head up their own ass because that's what they do. But they find a way to win hockey games and they remain competitive. This team should not bottom out. And I don't think that's how good teams are built. I don't think you have to bottom out to get good again. Let's look at the Blackhawks. They've been in the bottom for God knows how long now. Name insert another bad team here. Like I said, my NHL wide knowledge isn't fantastic. But I'm sure if you look at the teams who are constantly picking in the top 5, 4 out of 5 of them still suck. So, with all that in mind, the move was good. Management is still to blame. This roster isn't fantastic. This is just the way they operate. I've come to expect it. And with those expectations come the results that they've brought, which is be competitive in the playoffs, or be competitive to get in the playoffs, get into the playoffs, win a series. If you go further, fantastic. As far as what takes the team over the top, that's a long distance question. We'll talk about that in April when they inevitably lose in 5 to the Panthers, and whether it's in round 1 or round 2. So, Tristan, you got those Jeremy Swayman stats for me?
Yeah, I gotta. You know, I even went a step further, my friend, because I know one goal you keep comparing him to is Linus Ullmark. So what I've done is I've pulled up some stats for Korpisalo, Swayman, and Linus Ullmark just to compare how they've done this season. Korpisalo has played the fewest games of all of these goaltenders, so keep that in mind, while Jeremy Swayman has played the most of all these goaltenders.
What's the difference in games?
It is 10 for Korpisalo, 19 for Swayman, and 15 for Ullmark.
Okay.
In terms of WAR, this is all according to every stat I'm going to give you is according to Evolving Hockey. According to WAR, wins above replacement, Jonas Korpisalo is the leader in that. He's worth just barely under 1 win above replacement. The next best is Jeremy Swayman, who is just below replacement level at negative 0.2, and then Linus Ullmark is below that at negative 0.5 wins above replacement. For goals saved above average, Korpisalo is the only one in the positives with a 2.59 goals saved above average in 10 games this year. He is also the only one above average when it comes to goals saved above expected with 2.84. Ullmark is worse than Swayman when it comes to goals saved above average, but he has saved more goals above expected than Jeremy Swayman. So essentially, just to quickly break down the difference between those two stats, goals saved above average is kind of looking at takes their performance against what the average performance across the league is, and kind of gives you that. Whereas goals saved above expected is like how many goals have they saved above what they're expected? How many goals have they saved as compared to the number of goals they're expected to save? If that makes, I don't know if that was probably a long-winded way to explain that, but
basically it tracks the types of shots that they're facing, and you get an expected goals from, basically a weak shot from a point is like what, 0.1. I'm
yeah, you'll have the low danger chance, the high danger chances closer to the net are going to be graded a bit differently than shots from the defenseman at the point.
Yeah, so it basically evaluates the amount of expected goals that come from that specific shot, and then they tally all that up, and then that's how you get these save.
So did I hear that Korpisalo swept all those categories?
No, Korpisalo didn't sweep all those categories.
What was the one that he missed?
Oh no! Oh no! I'm sorry. Corpusella did. I'm sorry. I thought you said Olmark. I don't know why.
Listen, I got a crush on Olmark, but I'll also admit that he hasn't been awesome for the Senators either.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. I think it's just that's just what happens when you become an Ottawa Senator. Move that close to Montreal, and it happens. So
Can I get some of the raw stats, like the wins,
like
the losses, the goals
stats?
against?
Yeah, that would probably take me a minute. I can give you for your Bruins goaltenders right quick.
Yes, please.
I don't know if Swayman's starting tonight against the Red Wings, but the Red Wings haven't scored yet, so there you go.
Oh, they're in game right now. Interesting.
Yeah, the Senators are up 1-0 because the Red Wings suck, but that's another. We'll get to that later. In 19 games, Swayman is 8-9-2 with a 303 goals allowed per game, and an 893 save percentage. Corpusella, on the other hand, is 10 games, 6-2-1, 2.4 goals allowed per game. He has a 909 save percentage entering play on tonight, and that's all. That's according to ESPN. And Corpusalo, meanwhile, give me a second here.
You mean Olmark?
Olmark. My bad.
So while you're looking those up, I feel like I'm justified in saying Corpusalo, head and shoulders, has been the better goalie. I think 10 games is enough of a.
He has. I'm not denying that. Like, he has been the better goaltender. Do I think that like long term he's going to be a better goaltender? No, I still believe in Jeremy Swayman. I still think that paying Jeremy Swayman was the right move. I'll stand on that. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
he's the younger goaltender. He has more potential. I'll even defend the Bruins trading him before signing Swayman, or trading Olmark before signing Swayman, in that you want to have as much cap space available to make that move, and you can go 10% over the cap in the offseason. So there's more flexibility to do it in the offseason as opposed to, potentially waiting until training camp like Boston did with Swayman and other teams did with their restricted free agents, like Detroit did with Seider and Raymond. You can just trade him there in the offseason, get that over and done with. You have that extra $5 million, I think it was, to work with. I don't think either side foresaw that going into October, but I think that's the logic there. Is they lose a little bit of leverage, but I think that any team that was interested in Olmark knew that they were trading Olmark. So I don't know how much of a leverage it really had there, because it's more of like, the Bruins could be like, well, we want this, this, and this. And it's like, well, okay, well, let's just wait, because they're going to have to come down on that anyway, because they got to re-sign Swayman.
No, when I said leverage, I mean like getting rid of Olmark, you lose leverage to Swayman, because if you
they should have done their research better, knowing that Swayman was about to drag them through the coals.
Well, the thing is, I don't think Swayman, because I think Swayman knew that he was going to be the long-term starter there, just based off the fact that he's younger. He just had a better season than Olmark, and I don't know if they were willing to pay I don't know if they were willing to stick with a 31-year-old goaltender who has been solid through his career, but never really reached elite status until over the last couple of seasons, when he had the just a video game-esque 2022-23 or whatever it was, and then what he did last year. But moreover to the point, I have Olmark's stats with the Senators this year. 15 games this year, 5 wins, 7 losses, 2 overtime losses, a little over 3 goals allowed per game. He has an 888 save percentage.
It's comparable to Swayman,
which is not the best save percentage. He has a lower save percentage than his backup, Anton Forsberg, who's played 10 games this year. So,
what's Forsberg's save percentage?
980 or 896. 986.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I was like, how have I not heard this?
986 would be like, why are you not starting him? Like, he saved nearly every shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that situation, again, we can blame management. I also want to put some blame at the feet of Swayman, because he did do some regrettable actions that really pissed me off to a point where I just don't like him as a dude.
No, I understand that.
And we can add into that how that probably played a little bit in a factor as to how Jim Montgomery got canned, because that locker room had a funk for basically until he got fired, and there's probably still a little bit of a funk now. But that probably had something to do with it.
I don't know if it's the whole thing, but it certainly didn't help.
I mean, you have Brad Marchand's like taking pot shots, being like, "Yeah, I don't talk about my contract in public," and obviously, when I was telling you, BR, that I can't believe he just said I have 64 million reasons why, and then it's not even that he said that; it's that he said it, and that offer wasn't on the table.
Yeah, that was just.
That was clown behavior.
I think that's gonna be. I think it's gonna come up again. Like maybe not like Neely doing that again, but I think there's gonna be players that you're gonna try to sign down the line who are gonna remember that and be like, you know what, maybe I can dick him around a little bit and kind of pull the rug out from under Cam Neely and stuff, because I know that if I fluster Cam Neely enough, he'll just, if he really wants me, he'll give me what I want.
Yeah.
I still don't like Jeremy Swayman.
That's
I'm not moved. I'm unmoved. Start Corpusala full time. Let's see what happens. All right. The Blue Jackets. Speaking of the team that got Jim Montgomery fired, they traded. Oh God, I can't pronounce this name. David Juracek.
Juracek.
I got that on the first try. Look at that. They traded him to the Minnesota Wild. They received Damian Hunt and 4 draft picks. Tristin, I assume, yes, you did. You wrote an article on this. You linked it. So
I wrote a trade grade on this one. Yeah.
So as I open this, because I just was too busy, I couldn't get into it. What's your grade for these guys? Who comes out on top? Minnesota obviously having a pretty good season right now. The Blue Jackets obviously just trying to get through. It's a miserable experience over there.
Honestly, actually, as of late, the Blue Jackets have actually played pretty well. They are actually doing rather well. They had a bit of a hiccup against the Flames not too long ago. With the
they're near 500. Good for them.
Yeah, they've been playing really well.
6-3-1 their last 10.
Yep.
I mean,
overall though,
goal difference of 0. That's better than expected.
Yeah. Overall, this is a trade that kind of was a long time coming. The full trade, by the way, just for the full scope of this.
Wait. Hold on. The Blue Jackets have a winning record. 11, 10, and 3.
No, that's fake 500. That's fake 500. They've lost 13 games. It's fake 500.
They've won more games. They've gotten more points in games that they haven't.
No, yeah, they've gotten points out of 14.
Who would have thought this
games
by December 5th, 2024, that this would be the case? All right, I'm sorry for disrespecting the Blue Jacket. It's not as miserable of an experience as I thought.
But anyway, I want to go over the full trade rate quick just to give the full perspective, because I said 4 draft picks in our document, but that was because it would have been kind of tedious to list everything. So what happened? Right. The Minnesota Wild acquired defenseman David Juracek in a 2025 fifth-round pick from the Blue Jackets in exchange for defenseman Damian Hunt, a conditional 2025 first-round pick, a 2026 third-round pick, a 2026 fourth-round pick, and a 2027 second-round pick. The condition on the first-round pick is that it's top 5 protected, which is like that's not good. That's not good. So the Blue Jackets are going to get a first-round pick this year, unless the Wild just completely implode, which would be a shock.
My ass off.
Yeah, they are legitimately. I think if they are not tied for the league lead in points right now with a couple of teams, they are up there. They are so they are in sole possession of the first place in the NHL with 38 points this season. They're 17-4-4. So that's not going to happen. So looking at this whole, the grade that I gave both these teams, I gave the Blue Jackets an A for this, and I gave the Minnesota Wild a B. And I feel like I've looked around just because I don't want to rely on my own opinion. I'm interested to see what other people think. There are a lot of people who graded this trade that gave the Wild a higher grade than I did, and are a lot higher on the Wild side of this. My thing about it is that David Juracek has all the potential in the world. He was one of the top defensemen in the class in 2022 when they drafted him 6th overall. And he still has the potential to be maybe not the two-way defenseman that he was before he entered the NHL and became a pro in North America, but he has shown the potential to be pretty good offensive defenseman in the NHL. He could be one of the best offensive defensemen in the league if everything goes well. But he really struggled to earn ice time in Columbus in a situation where he should have been probably their best defenseman. He received a lot of opportunities on a roster that really needed someone to step up and was almost begging for somebody to step up under the latter years of Jarmo Kekalainen before he got fired. There were opportunities for Jiricek to kind of, take the reins, become the top defenseman, pair with Zach Werenski, and lead this team forward. But he struggled. He struggled under I think the last guy, Brad Larson, I think it was. Struggled under Brad Larson. He struggled under Pascal Vincent, who they had last year after Mike Babcock got fired. He played well in the AHL, so I don't necessarily know if it was a coaching thing or what, but even under Dean Avison, he had some chances this season to kind of play in the NHL and get some time, but even under Dean Avison, he couldn't do it. So, and Dean Avison's a really good coach. Like, we've seen with the Minnesota Wild, ironically enough, what he can do. So, I think it's really risky for the Wild to trade 4 draft picks and a defenseman that many around the game consider to be NHL ready. He's a left shot, mobile, can move the puck really well. A lot of people are high on Damon Hunt. He may not be a first pairing defenseman down the line, but he could be a solid second, third pairing guy. Could step into the Blue Jackets right away if they needed him to. So I think that it's a really huge risk for them to pay this price. And the only reason I didn't really go any lower on it is because the potential is there. There is legitimate upside in David Jiricek to work out. And if he does work out, it is no understatement to say that they may have the Wild may have the best 1-2 punch in terms of right-handed defensemen in this league with Brock Faber and David Jiricek. That is not an understatement. That is no hyperbole. Brock Faber is already one of the best defensemen in the NHL. He's proving last year that wasn't a fluke. And like the Wild are taking their shot here, and that's commendable. Got to give Bill Guerin, the GM of the Minnesota Wild, his flowers on that. But I do still think that the risk is it can't be ignored.
BR, what is your take?
Yeah, I'm not. I honestly, I do not like how much Minnesota gave up. I mean, he definitely has a lot of potential, but he has not. The results haven't been good. Like, his mobility and his skating has been very mediocre. And, a lot of the reason is, he's very good offensively, but he's had struggles getting back into defensive positions in his career. And that's not an easy thing to fix. Now, if that does get fixed, then absolutely, it'll work out. I respect taking the shot, but it's more than I personally would have given up. Just because skating has been a big red flag for me, which shock horror as an Avs fan, skating is a thing I very much value.
All right, so
because the Avs are speed are the Avs are whores for anyone who has speed.
Hey, you got a cup out of it. You can't complain. All right, let's end this discussion with kind of an outlook going forward. Tristin, how do you see the Blue Jackets and the Wild finishing this year post trade? Is there anything more that we could/should expect? And then ultimately, what's the end goal here for both these teams post this trade?
Well, I think the end goal is the Minnesota Wild they have a lot of veterans in their blue line. I think I saw that like 4 of their 6 defensemen in their starting lineup are like over the age of 28, and 3 of those players are 32 years or older. So they want some youth on the blue line, and David Jiricek can play in the NHL. It's just a matter of whether he's ready for a full-time role. They did call him up after they initially sent him to the Iowa Wild of the AHL. They did end up recalling him. He has practiced with the team. I think he made his debut with them not too long ago. So it's a bit too early to tell whether or not like he's hitting the ground running there, but he is, with the team now. I think that they are hoping that he can kind of come along. More specifically, I think they're looking for a long-term replacement for Jared Spurgeon, who is getting up there in his career, is probably the best defenseman they've had in their history. So that's somebody they're looking to kind of get a long-term replacement for. The Blue Jackets, I expect there to be more moves from the Blue Jackets. They have wanted to add a top 6 forward for a minute now. Don Waddell has been trying to find some way to add a top 6 forward to this team, or at least add some forward depth in some way. So I expect them to maybe go out and flip one of these picks that they got. Maybe go and grab a, maybe not like a star player, but maybe like a player who's just in need of a change of scenery, somebody that they can take a chance on and see what happens.
JT
Maybe there's been rumors around him. I know there's rumors about him in the Rangers. So
Yeah.
I don't know about the Blue Jackets, but
I was just it was just the first thing that came to my mind when it was a top 6 forward who might need to change of scenery. That was the first thing.
So we'll talk about JT Miller in a second because our next topic kind of relates to him in some way. But so I think that obviously both these teams are going to be at opposite ends. You expect the Wild to be one of the best teams in the NHL if they continue their form right now, and you expect them to potentially make a deep playoff run. The Blue Jackets are seeing the progress that they wanted to see. They're seeing their young stars come together. They're seeing guys like Kent Johnson and Kirill Marchenko start to take their steps forward. So, it's kind of a tale of two different teams here. But at the end of the day, look for both teams to try to hope that they can continue on their current trajectory, and maybe look for the Blue Jackets to use some of these picks in the future trades.
Before I kick it to BR, would it be too weird if I asked what this team could have been had it not be for the offseason tragedy of Johnny Gaudreau?
Oh man, look, it really kind of feels that feels tough to talk about because it feels I don't know how to explain why, but it does feel
okay. I just wanted to throw it out there.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it feels kind of weird to talk about that because I don't want to
because obviously they're overachieving.
Yeah, I don't want to continuously relate this team to Johnny Gaudreau, right? You don't want to continuously relate the team to what happened in the offseason because at the end of the day, and this is cruel to say, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or I'm not trying to be demeaning of his loss when I say this, but they have to play without him, regardless of what happened. They got to play. So if this is the circumstances that they're given, I don't want to continuously relate it to that. But I also do admit that there is it's very somber to see the team making the progress that they've made and knowing that what Johnny Gaudreau could have done on this team. It is kind of, it's one of the heartbreaking parts about the season is knowing that Johnny Gaudreau is a really special player on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and knowing what he could be doing with this team right now and where this team could be, it's heavy. It's a heavy thing, and it's really difficult to kind of discuss.
I mean, frankly, the answer is we'll never truly know. You can't know because as sad as it is, the mentality of the team undoubtedly changed after that. I don't want to say it gave them motivation because they're professionals. They're motivated to win regardless. But in a very sad and unfortunate way, that's a very special kind of motivation. So it's just the mentality of the team is different. Obviously, the team on paper, is a whole lot better. But it's just, there's so much that's different that I'm not, it just is. I don't really want to speculate. Not necessarily because it feels wrong. It's too hard to make a real guess.
Fair enough. BR, what's your long-term out view for the Wild and the Blue Jackets?
I mean, is it too early to say that the long-term goal is for the Wild is to win it all this year?
No, not at all. I'm with you.
Because, there hasn't been, other than the win the Jets start to the season, which was just an unsustainable heater. Their shooting percentage was just ridiculous, and that was always going to fall off. There really hasn't been there hasn't been the absolute dominant team this year. So I feel like the path for them to win it is, Juracek works in their system. You get arguably the 1-2 right-handed defenseman, duo in the league, and then such. Yeah, so that, and then Columbus just keep making progress. Just keep going. Maybe you know what? Hey, maybe they sneak their way into the last wild card spot, and as they showed a few years ago, once you get in, anything can happen. With what they did to Tampa Bay all those years back. Goodness,
It still makes me laugh to this day.
Oh, how long has it been at this point? Like 5 years since that happened?
It was 2019, yeah.
Goodness.
One of the worst people I knew fell to their knees that day.
Oh, yeah.
The other place, way back when.
You'll have to tell me that after that.
Yeah.
Real quick about the Wild, I do think that they might be a little bit more legit than a lot of people think they are, because I know there's some concerns over like falling off. Their underlying metrics look really good. They have the third best goals for percentage in the league. Their expected goals for percentage is 6th, and this is at all strengths. And their expected goals, the only team with a lower expected goals against this season's the Los Angeles Kings. Like this is a team that's kind of going for it right now, man, and they have the chance to. One thing that is worth noting real quick is that at the end of this season, they're going to get $15 million in dead cap space off their books, which they could extend this. What was that?
It was from Suter. Suter and Parise's dead cap is running off the books?
Nope. Zach Parise and Ryan Suter's dead cap from their buyouts is coming off the books after this season. So they could continue this, but I do think that they'll probably want to capitalize this and try to win it all now.
All that money going to Miko Rantanen, watch.
Alrighty, friends. We are going to the 4 nations rosters. Yes, the 4 nations rosters are out, everybody. Can someone quickly explain to the folks who don't know at home, aka me, what the hell 4 nations are? What is the purpose of this?
Yeah, so there's been a cry. I want to call it an outcry. That feels a bit overdramatic, but there's been like a push within the league, especially among the players, for best on best international hockey. The last time the NHL players skated at the Olympics was Sochi in 2014. And there's been a huge push to bring NHL players back to the Olympics. There's been a push to have some sort of best on best hockey. They did kind of bring it back in 2016 with the World Cup of Hockey, but that was kind of weird because there was a Team USA and a Team Canada, but there was also a Team North America. So
the streets won't forget Team North America.
Yeah. So there was kind of all of that, but what the 4 nations is essentially a preview for the 2026 Winter Olympics. The 4 nations face-off is 4 countries: the U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland. They're going to be competing beginning February 12th through the 20th for international bragging rights, pretty much. And essentially, all 4 of these rosters are made up of players across the NHL, and it's going to feature like a loaded rosters from the best of each country playing together, representing their country. And then
there's a big country that wasn't involved in this.
There are a couple big hockey nations that weren't, but I know the one you're
there's one that sticks out like a
especially since the event is in Boston.
Alrighty, friends. Let's go to Team USA. We're starting with Team USA first. Let's go with the forwards. I'll just read them off here. Minnesota Wild's Matt Boldy. The Jersey Devils, Jack Hughes. The Buffalo Sabres, Brock Nelson. The Winnipeg Jets, Kyle Connor. The New York Rangers, Chris Kreider. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
my eyes are bad.
Also, Brock Nelson plays for the Islanders, not Sabres.
Oh, when the logos are really small, they kind of look the same. Brady Tkachuk with the Senators. Jack Eichel with the Knights. Dylan Larkin for the Red Wings represent Matt Tkachuk with the Panthers. Jack Gensel with the Lightning. Austin Matthews with the Maple Leafs. Vincent Trocheck, the Rangers. JT Miller, the Canucks, I believe that logo is. Defenseman Brock Faber with the Minnesota Wild. Hannafin with the Vegas Golden Knights. Jacob Slavin with the Canes. Adam Fox with the Rangers. Quinn Hughes with the Canucks. Zach Werenski with the Blue Jackets. And Boston's own Charlie McAvoy with the goalies being Connor Hellebuck with the Jets. Jake Ottinger with the Stars, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my favorite person in the world, Jeremy Swayman with the Boston Bruins. Okay, let's react to this team. What do you think of Team USA? Do we like our odds?
I'm pretty stoked about it, honestly. I think this is probably one of the better up and down rosters of the four nations. I think that they have the best goaltending, and they also made there's a good case to make that they've got the best blue line as well. They're entering this as probably one of the favorites, probably alongside Canada. This would be their first major international men's senior men's team victory, I think, since in terms of championship, like a gold or similar since 1980. They haven't won a senior men's gold or similar championship since 1980 with the Miracle on Ice. So the U.S. men's team is looking for some success. They could get some success here, and that would give them a lot of momentum heading into Milan in 2026.
Would you say Team USA is the favorite?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if there's it's hard to count out Canada. Although I think Canada's got some flaws, but we can get to that when we get to it.
What do you think Team USA, BR? You bleed in red, white, and blue right now?
I mean, I certainly hope they win, but I mean, the one pick I wish that doesn't make sense. We have enough depth for defensive. I don't understand why you don't pick Tage Thompson personally. I think he was the big omission, and with all due respect, I don't know why Brock Nelson is here.
I'm kind of surprised about that. I don't know if he's struggling this season or not, but Brock Nelson's proven to be one of the
Let me rephrase that. I'm not sure why they picked Nelson over Thompson. That's more so my point.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because you have enough defense. Especially for this is I know that obviously when the Olympics that's a different. But for a thing that frankly doesn't mean a whole lot, I wish the U.S. just said we got as much skill as Canada. We're gonna put our skill out there and just prove we can basically put your best forwards out there and hope you're deep and be like we have better goaltending than everyone else. They're gonna allow us to outscore everyone personally.
Well, to be fair to Brock Nelson, he's scored 30 plus goals in each of the last 3 seasons. So I don't think goal scoring is really an issue with Brock Nelson.
I apologize to Brock Nelson then. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, he had that. I caught on to that trend a little bit this season. He's had a lot. He's having a lot of better time on Long Island than a lot of people give him credit for. He's 34 last year, 36 before that, 37 before that. He's legitimately become one of the better goal scorers in the league. So, I mean. I agree with Tage Thompson being an omission. I'm not saying that. Tage Thompson, I think it might have just been because he struggled with injury a little bit last year, and that might have hurt his case here. Had this happened last year with what he did at 2022-23 when the Sabres were like, oh hey, we're gonna make the playoffs before they took that away from their fans and made them miserable again. I could maybe he makes the roster then, but I do think that I think the point of Thompson being an omission here that makes a lot of sense.
Oh my! Currently, a live score at the end of the second, the Lightning are beating San Jose 7-0.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. Oof, that's not fun.
All right, so obviously Canada's second greatest export is the sport of hockey. The first is obviously Nickelback. Let's talk about Team Canada here. How many names can I butcher?
Well, I'm gonna handle the Scandinavian teams when we read those off.
Oh boy, yeah, it's gonna be bad. No, I think part of the gimmick is me butchering these names. All right, let me zoom in here so I get the team names right. Sam Bennett, my actual least favorite person with the Florida Panthers. Seth Jarvis for the Canes. Connor McDavid, a.k.a. McJesus, a.k.a. the GOAT. Screw your Gretzky talk with the Oilers. Anthony Cirelli with the Lightning. Travis Konecny with the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm sure you guys saw the doom in my face on that one. Braden Point with the Lightning. Sidney Crosby with the Penguins. Yes, I said Crosby. Nathan McKinnon with the Avs. Represent BR. Sam Reinhart with the Panthers. Braden Hagel with the Lightning. Boston's own Brad Marchand. Mark Stone with the Knights. And Mitch Marner with the Maple Leafs. Go to the defense. Another Avalanche BR represent. Cale Makar. Colton Parayko. Are you guys impressed with that one? With the St. Louis Blues. Shea Theodore with the Knights. Josh Morrissey with the Jets. Another Knight, Alex Petrangelo. Another Avalanche BR represent. Devin Taves. And Philadelphia Flyers, Travis Sanheim. Goalies. Ooh. Jordan Binnington with the Blues. Aiden Hill with the Knights. And the Canadiens. Sam Montembeau. Oh, I forgot the N. Montembeau. All right, Team Canada. BR, I'll kick it to you. What do you think about Canada's second best export?
They did some real trolling with that Colton Parayko pick. This isn't to say he's a bad player, because he's been good. I don't know why you pick him over Evan Bouchard or Noah Dobson. I understand Bouchard hasn't been that great defensively, and he's kind of a power play merchant, and Canada has that taken care of with Makar. So I understand him, but Dobson has been a rock solid defenseman for a while for the Islanders, and Parayko is just, he's good, but I'm not sure about that. Their goaltenders stink.
Yeah. No disrespect to any of them. Obviously, George Bennington's a Stanley Cup champion. Sorry, Kaleb. Yeah, no, it's the goaltending is it's not great. Actually, two of them are Stanley Cup champions. I forgot about Aiden Hill. But yeah, it's like they have Stanley Cup goaltending in their Stanley Cup goaltending on the team, and that's going to help them a lot, I think. But at the end of the day, man, the goaltending is going to be the biggest Achilles heel for them. They have some really good goaltenders coming up in the 2025 NHL draft. But like that obviously is not going to help them here. I don't know. I think that to the point about Parayko, I think that kind of I'm okay with Parayko being there over those two. I'm not sure how Parayko's I'm not sure how Dobson's done to a full extent this season. I know Bouchard has had some really brutal defensive performances, and he's shown some very lackluster efforts out there.
No, not picking Bouchard. I get. I more so that Dobson. Parayko over Dobson. That has me. I'm like, I don't know. Because I feel like if I'm Canada, I kind of the same mentality as U.S. I'm like, we have the best skill. We're just going to outscore our problems. Especially since it's, frankly, this is kind of a, just for fun type of thing. There's not a whole, So I don't, especially, I feel like you could just be like, all right, we're going to outscore our problems and, go for more offensive players. Bouchard has been Miyamoto is going to be on my ass if he sees me say this, but Bouchard is not
Sorry, who's going to be on your ass?
He's an Instagram Oilers fan.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyways, he's not been that great. Not picking Bouchard, I get, especially since he's kind of a power play specialist, and you already have Cale Makar, which isn't. and you got like Theodore and such, and
But I would say that I would also argue that Parayko kind of balances out because they have, Makar and Theodore, two of the best offensive defensemen in the league. Josh Morrissey is also really good at promoting up offense. Alex Petrangelo's up there too. So you got guys like Devin Taves and Travis Sanheim who are maybe a bit more defensively responsible. Parayko is kind of your all around. He can chip in some offense if you need him to. If you want him to contribute defensively, he can do that. He'll block shots. He'll throw the body around. Like he's kind of like the jack of all trades on the back end there.
fair. I mean, fair enough. Fair. No, I don't even disagree. I'm just saying for this, I understand the point of balancing out. It's just more so of I'm not sure how necessary that is for this. It's the first. It's the first best on best end forever. Like, I want to see goals. I'm not here for 1-0, 2-1 games. So,
well, Jeremy Swayman in net, you're surely not getting that.
Respectfully, he is your third goaltender, and the only reason he's not on.
That's Hellebuck.
No, say it disrespectfully. I encourage it.
No, I'm not saying it disrespectfully. I'm saying it as a matter of fact. Like Jeremy Swayman's probably not going to be starting in the Four Nations.
Good. We have the best chance then.
Unless
he's not even
Hellebuck gets hurt or something. But
no, if Hellebuck gets hurt, Ottinger's going in over Swayman.
Yeah.
And the only reason Swayman made it is because Demko has some fluke knee injury that only happened. That is, it can't be repaired. I don't know what's going on with
Tristin
that.
had a legendary rant about Thatcher Demko way back in the day.
Yeah, those were different times.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So like a solid like 10 minutes ago, you guys said sorry, Kaleb. What was that? I was like in my own little world for a solid minute.
Oh, I mentioned a very dark moment in Bruins history when Jordan Bennington won the Stanley Cup.
Oh yeah. Good thing I checked out. Tristin, I guess I should like formally give you the floor to rip open this Canadian team.
Well, we already kind of discussed the Canadian team.
Well, I didn't know if I formally gave you the floor or not.
Oh no, you didn't formally give me the floor, but I mean, outside of their goaltending, there isn't really much to say about it. They've got the skill. They've got an incredibly skilled group of forwards. Their defense is more balanced. They've got some offensive guys, and I think they're going to lean on those offensive players to kind of get them through. But their goaltending is going to be their big Achilles heel in this tournament. If they win it, it's going to be because of either Bennington or Aiden Hill just turning in an incredible performance that we didn't foresee.
Or they win every game like 6-5.
That's also possible, yeah.
I mean, when you can have a power play of McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Makar, and like who else? Who would be the fifth on that?
Anybody. Literally just put anybody else out there, and I'm pretty sure that
probably also, Canada picking Mark Stone is nice in case they need LTIR space.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, let's rip open this Sweden team. Again, I'm going to totally butcher these names. Wait for me to finish and then correct me. That's what's going to get the best outcome here.
This is going to make me get an aneurysm, but all right, I'm here for
it. Okay. Edmonton Oilers, Victor Arvidsson.
Yep.
Good. We got two Predators back to back. I could make a really good joke, but I won't. Philip Forsberg and Gustav Nyquist. Nyquist? Where'd the V come from? Devils, Jesper Bratt.
Jesper Bratt.
Okay. Vegas Golden Knight, William Karlsson.
Yep.
Vancouver Canuck, Elias Pettersson.
Yep.
Anaheim Duck, Led Carlson. Leo. Okay. Los Angeles King, Adrian Kempe.
Kemp. I think it's Kemp.
Kempe. No, he got it right.
Is it Kempe?
Nice.
Oh, only Harry Kemp. All right.
Detroit Red Wing, Lucas Raymond. Yeah, it's probably about as American as these names get here, huh? Minnesota Wild, Joel Eriksson Ek. Bruins legend, Boston own, Elias Lindholm. New York Ranger, Micah Zibanejad.
Mika.
And what did I say, Micah?
He said Micah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Toronto Maple Leaf, William Nylander. Defenseman, Calgary Flame, Rasmus Anderson. Buffalo Sabre, Rasmus Dahlin. All-time great, more important than Zdeno Chara's last game as a Boston Bruin, Victor Hedman. Tristin will get that reference. Minnesota Wild, Jonas Brodin.
Jonas Brodin.
Jonas Brodin, okay. Matthias Ekholm of the Oilers. Erik Karlsson with the Penguins. God, Erik Karlsson's still kicking around, huh? Gustav Forsling with the Panthers. And in net, Philip Gustafsson with the Wild. Jacob Markstrom with the Devils. And my boy, 2022-2023 Vezina winner, goaltender with the Bruins, now with the Senators, Linus Ullmark. All right, breakdown Team Sweden. Tristin, I'll let you have the floor first.
Yeah, so the I feel
Also, shout out to me for only butchering like 3 names.
Congratulations, buddy. I don't want to like hype up the North American teams too much because I do feel like that there's talent on both Sweden and Finland here, but I will say I like Sweden a little bit more than Finland. I think they might struggle a little bit to score goals, though. Elias Pettersson's kind of struggled this season. Lucas Raymond is heating up. I know he said he's got like 4 goals in his last however many games. Mika Zibanejad has struggled a lot this year, but they're good. They also have star talent here. They've got Philip Forsberg's playing well. Jesper Bratt is is forming one of the best 1-2 punches in the entire league with Jack Hughes in New Jersey. William Nylander is a great player. Adrian Kempe's one of the best pure goal scorers in the league. They also have really good defensemen. Rasmus Dahlin's kind of is the jack of all trades here. I think he can score, he can defend a little bit. Matthias Ekholm has really come into his own since joining the Oilers, and it's kind of a similar story with Gustav Forsling. I do worry about Erik Karlsson though. And Erik Karlsson and Victor Hedman being on the same blue line is very concerning if you're looking to stop goals because they are not great defensively. But goaltending is also going to be a strength for this team. Jacob Markstrom's kind of figuring things out a little bit. Philip Gustafsson's playing incredibly well. That's a very solid 1-2 punch here. If Ullmark can kind of, rally around the fact that he's representing his country, this could be one of the better goaltending tandems in the league here. Or in the league, the 4 nations.
BR, break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I really like their defense. I mean, they're gonna, again, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but if the Scandinavian teams are gonna need to win more low scoring games, and you can tell they kind of made their teams for that type of game. But they have talent. They have talent. You got Pettersson, you got Nylander. Karlsson and Hedman can still produce goals, very much so.
Well, yeah, Victor Hedman's an all-time great. Can I say that sarcastically, or is it true?
I mean, unironically, he's up there. He's one of the best offensive defensemen in the league.
Yeah,
better than Chara?
I don't know better than Chara because Chara was more than just offense, but
in his prime, no, I would say he's better.
That's a bold statement in my opinion, honestly. I mean, Chara was one of the best shutdown defensemen of his time.
I'm interested in unpacking this, guys. I am.
I also think we're kind of comparing 2 different players because I think Chara was just so elite defensively that he didn't necessarily need to have the vicious slap shot that he did. That was just like, Jesus, do you have to do this to us now? Like, you just bullied 6 players on your own in the other end of the ice. You don't even allow 6 players on the ice, but you still did it. and then you come down here and take a 125 mile an hour slap shot, and what are we supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? So that's kind of an example of what I'm saying, but
No, this isn't me trying to diss Chara. It's just in his prime, Hedman was the best in the league, defenseman in the league, in my opinion.
I knew there was an argument to be made that in his prime, Chara was best defenseman in the league too. It was a staunch competition, but
Sure, no, that's true. I mean, you're comparing two all-time greats. You know, one of them has to, in theory, one of them's got to be better.
yeah, well, as one wise person said, I legitimately do not remember who said this, but two goats can coexist. So
That's J. Cole.
Yeah, I think J. Cole said that.
I'm trying to figure out. I couldn't remember off the top of my head who said that. That sounds like something.
Two legends can coexist. It was not goats.
That does sound like something that J. Cole would say, but I just couldn't remember who it was off the head. But
Also sounds like something Logic would say right before saying something really cringe.
that was a
Right before Logic drops the hard R.
Okay. Okay. For the tiebreaker, Team Chara, obviously. All right. Let's introduce the Fantastic Finns, home of. Wait, let me make sure I got that right before I butcher that. Where is he from? Yes, he is. Okay. Home of my all-time favorite player, Tuukka Rask. We have Team Finland.
I thought you were going in a different direction. I was kind of feeling, I don't know if people understand.
Where do you think I was going with that?
You were going to say Anders Borg.
Oh!
You're going to say Anders Borg.
Yes! My second favorite player of all time, Anders Bjork. Who needs to get a job.
I'm like, that's something that Kaleb would say. And nobody would understand. Nobody would understand why, but I would.
Just like throwing out Anders Bjork, who is surprisingly not on this team. It's obviously not Finland's best if he's not there. But let's go through it. I'm saying the over-under at 4.5 names I butcher.
I got confidence. I'll say under.
I have no confidence. I'm saying over.
BR, what if I moved to the 3.5?
I have less confidence in that on that line.
So 4 is the line.
Just confirmation, by the way, Anders Bjork. I don't believe he's Finnish. Anders Bjork is a red-blooded American.
Really?
Yep, born in Wisconsin.
Nice. Ew. All right.
Okay. Finland.
All right. Home. Fuck. Okay. Hurricane Sebastian Aho. Devil Eric Holla. Florida Anton Lundell. Canadian Joel Arima. No, fuck. Armia. That's one.
Joel Armia. Yep.
That's one. Stars. Roop Hintz.
Rope.
I think it's Rupe Hintz. Yeah. You're not gonna get this one.
Yeah, I should have hit the over.
Is that a D or a O?
That's an O.
That's an O? Okay. E2 Luastarnian.
E2 Lusterinen.
Fuck. Alexander Barkov with the Panthers. My boy Capo Caco with the Rangers. Avalanche, stand up, BR. Mikko Rantanen.
About to be a very wealthy man in a few months.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
That's true.
Shark, Michael Granlund.
Mikael Granlund, yeah.
Is that 3? Okay, we're not going to charge me with that. Okay.
I think we're on 4 now, actually.
We're already on 4?
Yeah, because you messed up Armia, you messed up Rupe, and then you messed up.
Hey, we give myself credit for Rupe.
I wasn't present for that conversation.
Well, I did, so I'm giving myself credit. Patrick Laine with the Canadians. Oh, fuck. Tuevo Teravainen.
I said his name earlier in this podcast. It's Teuvo Teravainen.
I said Tievo, so close but not close enough.
That was a U. Where are you getting an A from?
It's like tequila. It's like Tuevo. It's like Jose Cuervo's. You know.
You know I'm lame. I don't drink alcohol, so that doesn't.
Yeah, right. Because you somehow enjoy things sober. You'd think as a Lions fan that would just like be beaten into you at this point, but I guess now it's just good times over
Listen, I made it through all that without it. I don't think I'll need it for anything.
there. Oh fuck. I'm sorry, BR. Avalanche. Arturi Lehkonen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoa! That honestly makes up for the over I'm about to smash on this one. Yanni Hakan. Yanni Hakan. Hakanpää?
Yanni Hakanpää.
Whoa, okay. Dallas Star, Esa Lindell. Flyers, Rasmus Ristolainen. Dallas Star, Miro Heiskanen.
Heiskanen. I'm not sure the official. I say Heiskanen personally, but I don't think it matters. Well, it does matter. I'm not disrespecting your name, Miro. Sorry, you're not watching this, but I'm not trying to disrespect.
Don't know that. You don't
Maybe
know
if you are watching this, big fan.
Utah, two of them. Olimata?
Olimata.
Yeah, don't overthink it. That's right. And then, oh fuck me, Juuso Välimäki.
Yeah, Juuso Välimäki.
Florida, Nico Mikkola. And then goalies, Kevin Lankinen. Fuck. Buffalo Sabre, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough, yeah.
And then Uzi Saros for the Predators. Yeah. All right. I think we hammered over 4.5.
Yes, I was right to not have confidence in you.
Yeah, but I appreciate BR having it in me anyway. So that's why he's kicking it off. What do you think of Team Finland?
I mean, this is obvious because of the 4 nations involved, they have the least amount of players in the NHL. But I mean, in my opinion, they kind of this is going to sound disrespectful, but I don't mean it. But they're going to have the hardest time scoring of any of the 4 nations here, in my opinion. They're very top heavy forward wise. The big wild card is Line because he just played his first game in like a year yesterday. So if he can get scoring, then they might have something. But they're gonna need to win a lot of games. They're gonna need to win their games like 2-1, 3-2, 2-0, such and such. I mean, they got a very very good goaltender in UC Saros, who can steal them games. So, but yeah, they're going to have the hardest time scoring consistently of any of the 4 nations involved, in my opinion. Yeah.
Tristin, what do you have to add?
I think he kind of hit the nail on the head there. This is, again, like he said, this is a very top heavy team with the forward group. I think you've got, there's some very interesting players here with like Anton Lundell has been seen as like a potential like top 6 player. He's still like relatively young. Maybe he could kind of have a breakout here. Patrick Laine is a wild card here with just coming back from the injury. I know that he got a really good reception from the Montreal faithful. They have like some really good players here though. With Mikko Rantanen, like BR said, he's going to be a wealthy man in a few months. Alexander Barkov, Stanley Cup champion, led the Panthers to probably one of the better defensive players in the league as well. Sebastian Aho is killing it with the Hurricanes. He's been a force to be reckoned with for a couple of years now. I do think the one thing I want to mention is I think I actually kind of wrote about this for Clutch Points too. There are 2 main big omissions with Finland, and I think the snubs from Finland are a bit interesting.
Rask.
Sure. when it comes to Finland had, like BR said, they have the smallest player pool to choose from, which works in that like you have fewer like roster, like really tough roster decisions to make, but it also means that the roster decisions that you do make mean that much more, because you really need to make sure you get this roster right if you want a chance to really compete and win here, right?
Yeah.
So there are two players that I was looking at when I wrote my snubs piece for Clutch Points, and that is Carolina Hurricanes forward Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who is top 10 among active Finnish players in goal scoring for this season. He has 13 points for the Hurricanes this year. Maybe I don't want to like disrespect somebody like a Joel Armia or an Eric Holla, who are veteran players and kind of have deserved to represent their team, their country on the international level. Yes, very called Kanemi might give them a bit more of like an offensive edge, and kind of might give them a better lane to score a couple more goals possibly. The other one is Buffalo Sabres defenseman Henry Yokiharu, who is at 25 years old. He's a restricted free agent after the season. Is more of like a defensive option, but he can chip in a little bit of offense. And when he does play, he plays against some of the best players in the world. He plays against the elite competition that the Sabres face, and he holds his own pretty well. I think he probably would have been a better fit for Team Finland over somebody like Jani Hakanpää, who has struggled with injuries this year. I believe he's only played 2 games, and a couple days ago they just put him back on injured reserve. So
Yeah.
that's bit of the only thing I saw this floated by a national writer. So I'm not taking credit for this. This is floated by a national writer. He has experience playing alongside Esa Lundell, because Hakanpää played for the Stars at one point. So I think it's probably more of a familiarity thing where these two have chemistry together. So let's just put them together and see what happens. But I think Henry Yokiharu is kind of emerging in the NHL, and I think that he kind of deserved the spot. Probably would have been a better fit. In terms of like just putting the best players together.
Yeah.
Alrighty, friends. We have reached our final segment, which is the Christmas wish list in the name of the holiday season. We're going to go around this round table, and we're going to name 3 things you wish to happen for your team or to your team to actively do the rest of the season. I'll keep mine short and sweet. Bench Swayman. Make a real hockey trade. Trade a Charlie McAvoy. Trade a Brendan Carlo. Trade a David Pastrnak. Trade a Brad Marchand. Trade somebody to add something super valuable to this team at some point. Fuck, even trade Jeremy Swayman. Make it 2 for 1. And then the third one, let's see, we got a trade, we got a bench, and I hope they make the playoffs, because that's what they should do. I hope they win a playoff series. I hope they play Toronto round 1. That's how I know I get to see at least one playoff series and bet the house that the Bruins win it. BR, I will kick it to you. What do you want to happen to or for your Avalanche to finish out this year?
A real goaltender.
So we can help each other out here.
No. We don't have the cap space for that. So yeah, no, we need a real goaltender.
Put some guys in injured reserve. You can make it work.
Not.
I think the only way they could make that work with an injured reserve trade is if they threw Landeskog in there, but I don't think they're going to do that.
No, he's on LTIR.
Yeah, you could trade an LTIR contract. But then, like, I don't know why Boston would do that, to be fair. Like, I don't think Boston would just, like, unless he, like, does something really bad and they're just, like, get the hell
goes
out
on
of
another podcast and just starts airing out grievances like a giant child.
But, like, yeah, that's not a realistic.
A real goaltender, like, we don't, the Avs don't necessarily need an elite goaltender, but, like a Vladar from David Vladar, I believe is his first name.
Dan Vladar from the Flames?
Dan Vladar, yes, apologies. Dan Vladar, one of Detroit, Cam Talbot from Detroit should they fall off. Someone like that.
He's preying on your downfall, Tristin.
Well, no, I
Well, yeah.
understand it, but Talbot's A, he's hurt, and B, he's signed for another year. So I don't know if you guys can make that work cap wise.
What's his number?
I don't know, top of my head. Hold on a second. I think it's like 2 point something, but
we need a real goaltender because the best goaltender we've had this season is Scott Wedgwood. And no disrespect to Mr. Wedgwood, that's not good for a team that wants to win the Stanley. Yeah, I mean, they need a real goaltender. Number 2, can we please stop with the injuries? That's just as big of it's almost as big of an issue for the Avs. The Avs need to get healthy. When I'm talking about like Colton, Drouin, those are the 2 main ones. I mean, Miles Wood's going to be out a while, sadly, and I'll believe Landeskog is playing when I see him on the ice. So I don't really count him in that. But we need to stay healthy. We need to avoid the injury bug. I know Manson got hurt. He's been really ass this year, but still. We just need to go. And the third one I would say is to get the Mikko Rantanen extension done. Just because I'm tired. They're not going to trade him realistically, and I don't. The odds, Rico can be frustrating at times with, because he does have a problem of kind of not being engaged at certain points in the game and kind of is more of a pedestrian. But there's not anybody who we can realistically get that's going to replace him. Now, $14 million that he allegedly wants is quite ridiculous. But if you can get it,
I thought Swayman wanted 9, and I lost my shit.
Well, it's also different standards for goaltenders and such, money-wise. But I just want to get it done, just so the Avs fans can stop talking about trading him, just because it's not going to happen. And I don't want to risk him leaving for nothing, because if he leaves in free agency, we are cooked. So so the 3 things is a real goal. Mackenzie Blackwood's another goaltender type that we could maybe get. But a real goaltender, some good luck with health, and to get the Rantanen extension done. Those are the 3 things I would like to see.
Very good. Very good. Tristin, you're Detroit Red Wings. What do you want to see done or happen? Or
So I don't ever like to prey on anybody's downfall unless they're the Green Bay Packers. But
that game's going on right now.
That game, Detroit's up 10-0. So not
10-0.
Yep, 10-0.
Well,
I think they're closing in on halftime. I think, I don't know. But 10-0 Detroit. Let's go Lions. But anyway, I say that because the first thing on my list is I want to see the Red Wings make a coaching change. Derek Malone is not working out. He is in the final year of his contract. If the Blackhawks, although there are very valid reasons for the Blackhawks making the move they made, but if the Blackhawks, as a team who was supposed to not be good this year, can fire their coach and make a change midseason, then the Red Wings, who are a team that was supposed to be challenging for the playoffs this year and is one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, they can make a coaching change in the middle of the year. They elevate the Grand Rapids Griffins coach, or my pick would be to hire Jay Woodcroft, the former coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Although I know that I know Todd McClellan's out there and he's got ties with the Red Wings. So, we'll as long as I don't pick Coach Q.
I was about to say, what about the guy that we don't name?
If it's Coach Q, I'm a Seattle Kraken fan. But the second thing I would want, man, I just want some more emphasis on the younger players, man, because the younger players for the Red Wings are playing really hard. I mean, Lucas Raymond's the best player on the team, I think. Marco Casper has looked really good. First round pick from 2022. The loan keeps moving him from the second to the third line, but he's always like the next best center on the team behind Dylan Larkin. So I don't understand why we're demoting him. But again, Uncle Fester doesn't know what he's doing, so is what it is. So I'd like emphasis on the youth, and the third thing is I would want this kind of the end of the season thing, but I want Steve Yzerman to go through and completely rehaul the pro scouting department for the Red Wings, because the pro scouting department for the Red Wings, I think Yzerman has been a better drafting GM than a lot of people give him credit for, because there's a huge narrative going around that Yzerman misses outside of the first round, which is not true. I could list a whole list of prospects that were drafted outside the first round that are starting to knock on the door of the NHL, but that would take too long. But he's done a lot of pro scouting misses, especially with goaltending, where we're going through a lot of this to try to get to Sebastian Cossa or Trey Augustine, the two top goalie prospects, not only in Detroit but also among the league. But I think that we need to get rid of the pro scouting department, get new voices in here, and make different moves when it comes to adding free agents and making trades. Because like when we make moves like trading Jake Wallman to the San Jose Sharks along with a second round pick, and we get nothing but future considerations, which is often nothing. That's bad asset management with the in terms of like pro scouting. You can't have that happen. So
especially when you're out here giving money, $5 million to, with all due respect to him, 2022 Stanley Cup champion, $5 million to JT Compher, paying Ben Sherratt.
Yeah, Ben Sherratt 4.75 or 4.475 or something like that. Yeah, Comfort, I wasn't too harsh on the Comfort thing. I like the Comfort one. Yeah, Andrew Kopp has been a complete dud. Even Vladimir Tarasenko's been a dud. He's got like 4 goals in 26 games or something like that. He's not shooting the puck either. He's on track for the lowest amount of shots he's ever taken in a single season in his career, which is wild to me, because that man I know this is a hot take, but when you shoot the puck, you're more likely to score goals. So it's no surprise that when Vladimir Tarasenko shoots the puck, he usually scores goals. So I don't know what we're doing there, but those are my 3: coaching change, get a new voice in here. I don't think Malone is the right man for the job here. Play some of the younger guys. Edvinsson and Seider are one of the best pairings in the league. Albert Johansson's shown a lot. Let's get some more of the younger guys up here. And then number 3 is let's get rid of the pro scouting guys so we can make better decisions in the offseason.
All righty, friends. I appreciate you all sticking with us for this hour and 40-ish minutes. And again, I apologize if my voice sounds a little raspy. I recorded the Beatcast earlier today. And if you guys are at all familiar with my guy, Elcio, I kind of got to carry the conversation every now and again. BR, thanks for coming on. And Tristin, thanks for coming on. Again, I don't know how often we'll do this, but we'll try to make it semi-frequent. I don't know how frequent that is going to be. We'll talk about it. And I guess one thing that I will tease, I probably should have consulted BR before I did this, but we do have a project coming out for the 2025 NASCAR season. It is a podcast to be named, to be advertised, to be marketed. And BR is going to be there. We got Chris Prince going to be there. And we got our good friend Cam. So that's going to be fun. We'll tell you more about that as we get closer. But I figured I'd tease that while BR was here at least. So with all BR, you got something to add?
Bubba Wall of Supremacy. We will be there.
You got your shirt?
Actually, I wore it yesterday, so it's in the hamper.
Yeah, buddy. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for watching the Blue Line Beat. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you again all very, very soon. Enjoy the Foxborough Beatcast outro video here.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Foxborough Beatcast. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.